Welcome back, truth seekers and romantics, to the sanctuary of deep analysis. Welcome to Mr. Magazine. You have arrived at the only destination in the digital landscape that refuses to accept the superficial gloss of celebrity culture. Here, we peel back the layers of PR statements and red carpet smiles to reveal the raw, beating heart of the human experience. If you are tired of fleeting headlines and seek a narrative that resonates with the soul, you are home. Before we step into the emotional storm that has engulfed two of Turkey's most beloved stars, please ensure you have subscribed to our channel. For those of you who wish to be the pillars of this community and support independent, high-caliber journalism, we invite you to click the Join button below. Your support allows us to continue telling the stories that matter. And, as always, your voice is the chorus to our narrative. We want to hear your theories and your feelings in the comments section. Now, let us turn our gaze to a television studio in Istanbul, where a simple question shattered the silence and reopened a chapter we all thought was closed. In the meticulously curated world of entertainment, spontaneity is a rare and dangerous commodity. Interviews are usually rehearsed dances, a series of safe steps designed to promote a project without revealing the person behind the persona. Hazal Subaşı, an actress known for her radiant energy and professional discipline, walked into that studio expecting the standard rhythm, a few jokes, a discussion about her new roles, and the polished charm that has made her a household name. The atmosphere was light, the laughter flowed easily, and the host played his part with practiced ease. But then, the air in the room shifted. It was a deceptively gentle inquiry, a question that floated into the conversation like a feather but landed with the weight of an anchor. If you could go back and relive one single moment, which one would you choose? It is the kind of question that usually elicits a safe answer, a childhood memory, a career milestone, a vacation sunset. But for Hazal, the question acted as a key, unlocking a door she had perhaps kept bolted for too long. A profound pause swallowed the ambient sound of the studio. The crew held their breath, the audience leaned forward, sensing a shift in the tectonic plates of the conversation. Hazal looked down at her hands, her usually vibrant demeanor quieting into a solemn stillness. She inhaled deeply, as if drawing courage from the very air around her, and when she spoke, her voice was a delicate tremor, unflinching yet vulnerable. "I might regret saying this," she murmured, her words hanging in the stillness like smoke. "But there's an afternoon with Erkan that still lives inside me." It felt like the world dimmed, and only our voices remained. The name Erkan did not just fall from her lips, it crashed into the room. It was a confession that defied the unwritten rules of celebrity breakups, which dictate that one must always appear moved on, indifferent, and healed. But here was Hazal, her eyes shimmering with the threat of tears, admitting that the past was not a foreign country, but a room she still visited. The first tear that escaped was not theatrical, it was the physical manifestation of a memory that refused to be evicted. The room vacillated between the urge to applaud her bravery and the instinct to remain silent in reverence. As the host attempted a sympathetic nod, trying to steer the ship back to calmer waters, Hazal pressed on. It was as if the dam had broken, and the truth could no longer be contained. "We were real," she continued, her voice dropping to a whisper that was louder than any shout. "I've tried to be practical. I have tried to let time do its job, to let the erosion of days smooth over the sharp edges of memory. But some things don't disappear. They take up space." She touched her chest with her fingertips. Not a grand gesture, but an instinctive one, pointing to the exact address where those memories still receive mail. We must pause here, dear Mr. Magazine family, to reflect on this. How often do we lie to ourselves about having moved on? Do you believe that true love ever truly ends, or does it simply change form? We are incredibly curious to read your personal philosophies in the comments below. That gesture, that specific touch to the heart, was the spark that ignited the internet. Within moments of the clip hitting the digital sphere, it became a tidal wave that no PR team could control. The producers behind the scenes scrambled, attempting to pivot the conversation to upcoming premieres, training regimens, or brand partnerships. But it was too late. The truth, or at least the gravity of a love that never quite ran out of echoes, had been named. By the time Hazal left the studio, the sky had turned grey, weeping a fine mist over the city. The drizzle turned the headlights of waiting cars into haloed orbs, creating a cinematic backdrop for the second act of this drama. She stepped into the damp air with her shoulders squared, her gaze steady, walking straight into a wall of microphones and flashing cameras. The question from the pack was inevitable, cutting through the rain like a knife: "Are you still in touch with Erkan Meriç?" Hazal hesitated for a fraction of a second, then answered with a candor that was disarming. "It's been a while since we spoke," she admitted, her eyes bright but eerily calm. "But I'm certain he carries pieces of it, too, memories that don't wash out." The sentence drifted into the damp Istanbul air, and for a second, it felt as though the entire city leaned in to hear the ending of a story that had been paused, not finished. Across town, as the digital world surged with theories and nostalgia, the other protagonist of this unfinished romance was spotted. Erkan Meriç, a man whose silence often speaks volumes, was seen near a recording studio. He did not offer a press conference, he did not issue a statement through a manager. He was approached softly by a lone reporter who quoted Hazal's emotional admission. Erkan's response arrived like a low note on a cello, resonant, melancholic, and deeply felt. "There are answers you speak," he said, looking down with that familiar, enigmatic reserve, "and there are answers you keep." This cryptic sentence was not a denial. It was a confirmation of depth. It suggested that while Hazal was the voice of their shared history, he was the keeper of its secrets. The world of fans did what it does best: it remembered. Timelines were instantly flooded with archival footage, scenes from their early days, behind-the-scenes clips where their chemistry seemed to burn through the lens, and candid photos that felt almost too intimate for public consumption. A collective realization swept through the fandom: "We never moved on," one comment read, "because they didn't either." Another observed, "This isn't nostalgia. You can see the fire when their eyes meet. It is present tense." Then came the digital signals, the modern-day equivalent of smoke signals on the horizon. A few hours after the broadcast, Hazal shared a black-and-white story on her social media, a horizon blurred by distance, the last light of day falling into the sea. Attached to it was a line that felt like a sigh: "Sometimes the past speaks louder than the moment you're living." Was it a message? A note to self? Or a sentence that slipped out because the heart finds ways to surface when you try to push it down? Almost as if in a call-and-response rhythm, Erkan shared music. There was no caption, no explanation, just a melancholic track titled "I Can Still Feel You." The lyrics painted a map of departures that never became endings, of hallways where footsteps linger long after the person has gone. If it wasn't a reply, it was the most convincing coincidence the internet had seen in a decade. The timing was too elegant, the emotion too precise to be accidental. Before we reveal the shocking detail about the secret letter, let me remind you, if you are enjoying this deep dive analysis, please destroy that like button. It helps us immensely. And if you are a true fan of deep storytelling, don't forget to check out our membership perks by clicking join. As the song gathered plays, a new wave of whispers broke from the inner circles of the industry. An anonymous source, allegedly close to both stars, offered a detail that felt like a shard of glass to the heart of the story. According to this source, Erkan has kept a letter since the final days of their relationship, a letter he wrote but never delivered. He keeps it folded, worn at the edges, the source claimed quietly. It's a memory he protects the way you would protect a treasure, and also a bruise you can't stop pressing. This revelation has set the fandom on fire. What could be written on those folded pages? Was it the goodbye he couldn't bring himself to say? Was it a plea for a second chance that he was too afraid to send? Or perhaps, it contains the words that would have fixed everything, had they only been read in time? The existence of this letter transforms their story from a simple breakup into a tragedy of unexpressed emotion. People began to dig up old interviews, looking for clues. They found a moment where Erkan, with a distant gaze, spoke about connections that carve a groove into your life. "Certain people," he said then, "leave a mark so deep that even if you try to walk a new path, somehow your steps circle back to where you first learned to listen." Heard now, that simple sentence takes on a prophetic quality. It sounds like a caption for the very week we are living through. Everything they have done since, the new roles, the travels, the new circles, now feel like chapters in a book that is still being written, not separate stories. Back in the studio footage that is currently being replayed millions of times, there was a sliver many missed on the first viewing. It is the moment just before the commercial break where Hazal looked up again, steadier than before. You could almost see the decision forming in her eyes to leave something honest on that couch, to refuse the safety of silence. "Some people aren't replaced," she said gently. "You think you will, you tell yourself you should, but you don't. And Erkan, he's one of those." It wasn't dramatic. It was almost practical in its acceptance, which made it land with even more force. It was a door left not quite shut. A window cracked to let the air in. And so, here we are, a city still damp from a light rain, a studio chair that has suddenly become a monument to truth, a song playing in the background of thousands of homes, and a letter folded somewhere in the quiet, waiting to be read. The question that hangs over us all is simple yet devastating. Is this the first step toward two people finding their way back to each other, or is it simply the honesty that comes when you finally stop arguing with your own heart? Perhaps both truths can exist at once. Maybe love can be both a lesson and a possibility, both completed and unfinished. Maybe their story is one that breathes in pauses, not periods. As Mr. Magazine, we will continue to watch this story unfold with the respect and depth it deserves. But we want to know what you think. Should Erkan deliver the letter? Is it time for a reunion, or should the past remain in the past? Leave your thoughts in the comments, we read every single one. If this video touched your heart, please share it. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to stay updated. And for those who want to support the channel that brings you the truth behind the fame, click the join button today. Until the next chapter is written, remember. Sometimes, the things we don't say are the things that scream the loudest. This is Mr. Magazine, signing off.